Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today about the Angel Network in what I call the Mountain South. I think the first thing I probably need to do is to make some assurances to you. With the cold weather and it looking really wintry outside, hearing the term Angel Network, many of you have to be asking, what the heck does business development and growth have to do with Christmas? Well, I'm going to promise you that it's a little early for me to don my beard and to put my red suit on. This discussion is not about Christmas. It's about developing the entrepreneurial ecosystem that Michael talked to us about this morning. So the logical question that comes from that is, well, what is an angel? What is an angel network? An angel investor is someone who provides capital to entrepreneurs and new business startups. And a network is a group of folks who work together. It's a new phenomenon that began in the 90s, proliferated to about 100 such networks in about the year 2000, and at this juncture includes about 300 such networks. But they work together to match folks who have great ideas, who want to start businesses, with folks in the community who are interested in investing in those businesses and who are interested in supporting those businesses by being a mentor and providing other support in addition to the capital. So there's a number of things that a great angel provides to the entrepreneur. I think the most important of those, though, is ultimately, as Michael indicated earlier, that second sober opinion. Friends and family many times don't provide the kind of feedback that someone needs. Someone who gives them honest feedback. Will this be successful? Is it a fundable idea? Angels can do that. We can also help you network and provide people to help build your business. Ultimately, working with an angel network provides, in addition to the capital and cash, credibility, because by investing, we're essentially saying that we endorse this concept. How would an angel network be good for the area? Well, there's the obvious. It creates jobs, it creates wealth, but of course it's going to broaden that tax base. It's going to ultimately foster a completely different type of attitude, one of entrepreneurship, one of enthusiasm, and a lot of things result from that in addition to the new businesses and the benefits we've discussed. Some of those include accelerating the growth of existing businesses. Some of them include commercialization and other ways to foster new ideas that come up through the system. What are some companies that have been backed by angels here in the United States? Let me see a show of hands. Is there anyone here who does not recognize at least one of these companies? Okay, let the record show I saw no hands. My personal favorite here is Starbucks. I'm a Howard Schultz fan. I've read his books and know his story well. You know, the guy's a salesman who started out, selling equipment. And from there, he had a concept. He brought it to some folks who he thought could help make it work. And today, Starbucks is a $10 billion company, or a $10+ billion company that's global. I've done a lot of traveling in my career, gone all over the world. Everywhere I go, I see Starbucks. It's nice to have a good cup of coffee and that you know is going to be good wherever you go. Talked earlier about the number of angel groups. There are, again, 300 plus throughout the nation. It's also a concept that has taken effect throughout the world. So whether you're talking about India or Canada, angel networks are starting to develop everywhere. And they're starting to provide that entrepreneurial support, that capital support, that mentoring support to the young people who have ideas, to the veterans who retire from companies and want to take a concept they have to the next step and they couldn't do it within the company. So it's a concept that's time has obviously come. That's the good news. The bad news is that there are a lot of communities that are ahead of us in developing entrepreneurial ecosystems. You guys know who they are. You've heard of what's going on in Austin. You've heard of what's going on in Silicon Valley. So the world's become more competitive. Our goal and objective, working with Excel Now, the Innovation Lab, and others, is to bring that to the Tri-Cities. Now, why is an angel network important? We have banks. Banks can invest in startups, can't they? Well, I think if you go to your banker's going to say, I need sales. I need to see a company that is consistently providing cash flow. Now, most of the startups, they come in the way of an idea, a couple, 3 or 4 people who want to take something forward, and they need a lot of support. That's where the Angel Network comes in support of the accelerator. VCs also provide funding, and as this chart shows, the orange bars on the slide, VCs do provide a significant amount of funding to new startups. But the seed funding and early funding is really coming from the angel networks. Local people in the community and people throughout your state who have an interest in the community and the state, who have an interest in the entrepreneurs, the individuals, who have an interest in remaining cowboys and making something happen. So ultimately, one of the pieces that we're missing here that we're trying to address is that seed/early level financing for our entrepreneurs. How much do angels typically provide to an entrepreneur? The average is about $150,000 to $500,000 per deal, but the averages are pretty wide. It could be up to a couple of $1 million. It could be as little as $25,000 or $50,000. It really depends upon the need of the business, and it depends upon whether it's a fundable story or not. If it's a fundable story, if there's sustainable growth that's enabled within the story, you're going to see a lot of interest. Now, what if you have an angel network locally, and that angel network meets with the entrepreneur, and the entrepreneur needs $1 million to get his concept going? Really great idea. It's a fundable story, fundable concept, great management team, patents in place already. What's that guy going to do? Well, he's going to look for financing, and of course, you may have the problem that your angel network locally cannot provide that. Let's say our angel network can provide $250,000. We are partnered already with angel networks in Nashville and in other parts of the state who can support that through syndication and tag on to those investments. Likewise, our angel network expects to provide that same support to other areas of the state. That accomplishes a couple of things. One, it keeps the pipeline primed. And secondly, it allows us to diversify our portfolio. Now, I think everybody would agree that this is really low-risk stuff, right? I mean, it's easy. It's easy to start a business. It shouldn't be a problem. The reality is that most businesses fail. So what you have to do, you have to diversify. You have to do your due diligence up front and do it in a strong manner. You have to make sure that you have people who have that passion that Michael talked about. And you have to make absolutely sure that you have all the components of an investable story. If you get there and you have all of those components, then you can take it to the next level and you can obtain funding not only locally, but through syndication and working with others and make your deals work. Now, earlier the question came up based on Michael's comments, where are the jobs created? This is the actual slide from the Kaufman study. And essentially, entrepreneurs, it shows, are keys to the creation of jobs. Without startups, there would be significantly less jobs created on a net basis. So we've talked a little bit now about angel networks, what they are. We know that it's not Christmas. We know that it's hard to have a fundable story, an investable company that comes forward. Who is the Angel Roundtable? Well, the Angel Roundtable is an informal network of approximately 12 individuals currently. 6 of those individuals are highly interested and active in participating in the activities that we have today. We are working towards the development of a network that can mentor and provide capital. We've only been working on this since the 1st of May. So we went through a feasibility study, and the actual recruitment of angel investors locally has only taken place in the last 60 days. So we're actually pretty excited that we've been able to obtain this level of momentum this quickly, quite frankly. We're also pretty excited about the support that we're getting from other parts of our state and country. We have a network mentor who is the executive director of a major group of angel networks in the state of Alabama. He comes from the Huntsville Angel Network, and he has agreed to serve as our mentor. Plus, we have a board of advisors that includes bankers, a government official, and some private equity folks, all of whom have experience currently and or previous experience operating angel networks. So we're trying to put together that board of experienced folks, just like Michael advised earlier, put together folks with experience to try to accomplish it. I myself have venture capital experience within my career, but I'm trying to augment that with experience of others so we minimize the mistakes we make. So that's who the Angel Roundtable is. Again, we're a new organization to this area. Hopefully we'll be of interest to the entrepreneurs and to investors in the area. My contact information is here on the slide. Do they get copies of the...
We're going to try to actually post as much as we can from every segment here and the other segments on economicsummit.org. So again, I'm sure that if everybody's agreeable, we'll have folks' PowerPoints up on our website.
Having said that, I also have some business cards, so if anybody has an interest, please make sure to grab me after the meeting, and I'll be happy to comment with you. But if you have any interest in learning more, give us a holler. And finally, as I break up, I'd just like to thank the operating partners that I have. This is a summary of some of the organizations, from the Innovation Lab to Excel Now to Cosby and Kingsport, all the way to the state level where Launch Tennessee is providing support. This is an effort that has garnered a tremendous amount of momentum, both locally and within the state, and I'm very, very appreciative to those folks who are providing that support and assistance.
Thank you, Tony. That's very encouraging.